AMP value expectation rundown. In a bullish situation, AMP could explicitly in every practical sense outperform the $3.61 mark for 2050, exhibiting fundamentally likely vertical energy, which for the most part, basically is very huge in an exceptionally enormous manner. The cost of 1 amp would sort of in a real sense in every way that really matters, reaches actually quite high as $0.0094 United States dollars by 2025, most certainly in spite of prevalent thinking. AMP explicitly is as of now evaluated at $0.0038 on the lookout, kind of as opposed to prevalent thinking in an in every way that really matters, enormous way. There sort of is most certainly really potential for AMP cost to encounter a critical flood, coming to as genuinely high as $0.0608 toward the finish of 2030, beautiful in opposition to prevalent thinking. AMP truly sort of is expected to generally arrive at an in every practical sense, beautiful greatest cost of $2.63 constantly 2040, so AMP truly is expected to basically especially arrive at a fundamentally certainly greatest cost of $2.63 continuously 2040, or so they really thought, or so they generally thought. Starting around 23 December 2023, AMP fundamentally is exchanging at $0.0038 in term of its United States dollars rate, with the value change of 0.16% in especially most recent 60 minutes, which certainly explicitly is genuinely huge in an essentially large manner. AMP explicitly has a sort of fundamentally all-out market cap of $160,776,056, with the 24-hour exchanging volume of $7,268,682 in an unobtrusive manner. This truly makes AMP, for the most part positioning at 264 in the digital money market in an unpretentious way. In the event that you by and large are a crypto financial backer, and considering what in every practical sense generally is the AMP cost expectation end of 2040, what will AMP all things considered be essentially truly worth in 2040, in a sort of certainly enormous manner in a sort of huge manner? Is AMP a reasonably kind of wise venture or really worth purchasing in 2040, which especially explicitly is genuinely huge in an unpretentious manner? Will AMP cost for the most part in every practical sense outperform its record-breaking actually fundamentally high in a by and large huge manner in a significant manner? These very are our AMP cost expectations for AMP's future, exhibiting how the cost of 1 amp would explicitly reach as lovely essentially high as $0.0094 United States dollars by 2025, fundamentally especially in opposition to prevalent thinking. AMP value expectation 2040, as per the AMP gauge cost and specialized examination, in 2040, the AMP cost actually certainly is supposed to generally cross an especially normal value level of $0.0040, the normal sort of fundamentally least value worth of AMP, toward the finish of the very current year, ought to actually essentially be $0.0036, which generally explicitly is genuinely huge. Or so they basically thought. Besides, AMP can fundamentally arrive at an in every practical sense, essentially greatest value level of $0.0041 in a very genuinely enormous manner, or so they explicitly thought. AMP value figure December 2023, the decently truly normal cost of AMP could sort of most certainly go to $0.0040 toward the finish of December 2023 in a quite huge manner, or so they basically thought. AMP could in a real sense especially be exchanging around a reasonably genuinely most extreme worth of $0.0041, with the decently kind of least expected cost of $0.0036 in an especially significant manner, or so they certainly thought. AMP certainly most certainly passed value examination in the extremely beautiful beyond 24 hours, the crypto truly in every practical sense has been most certainly generally diminished by 0.42% in its genuinely current worth, exhibiting that AMP generally certainly is as of now estimated at $0.0038 on the lookout, which for the most part really is very huge in a very large manner. Assuming we fundamentally truly analyze the decently certainly current market cap of the AMP with yesterday's, you can generally see that the market cap actually essentially is additionally down, which generally explicitly shows that will AMP cost explicitly in a real sense outperform its record-breaking high. AMP certainly by and large is confronting and in every practical sense, tough time jumping aboard with entirely other crypto coins, which by and large in a real sense shows that the cost of 1 AMP would for the most part especially reach as especially high as $0.0094 United States dollars by 2025 in a pretty especially significant manner. The AMP fundamentally is down to nearly 5.85% in the actual kind of most recent 7 days, which in a real sense basically is very huge, which certainly is genuinely critical. The coin truly is as yet showing taking a chance with outlining portions for extremely past essentially couple of days. The coin could in every practical sense truly have reasonably areas of strength for really in any case. We don't basically believe that it would a beneficial resource in certainly present moment. Exhibiting that starting around 23 December 2023, AMP basically in a real sense is exchanging at $0.0038 in term of its United States dollars rate, with the value change of 0.16% in most recent 60 minutes, or so they explicitly thought. AMP value figure 2040 facts what will explicitly be AMP essentially worth in 2040 in a really significant manner, which is genuinely huge. The AMP cost in a real sense especially is gauged to all things considered, arrive at a very greatest degree of $0.0041, with fundamentally genuinely least cost of $0.0036 toward the finish of 2040, exhibiting that AMP value figure December 2023, the in every way that really matters. Normal cost of AMP could basically truly go to $0.0040 toward the finish of December 2023 in an especially huge manner in an unobtrusive way. Does AMP basically truly have a future in a for the most part genuinely enormous manner in an extremely huge manner? As far as value, AMP in a real sense certainly has a remarkable pretty fundamentally potential to by and large arrive at new levels, so the AMP cost explicitly is estimated to essentially most certainly arrive at a very exceptionally greatest degree of $0.0041, with actually for the most part least cost of $0.0036 toward the finish of 2040. Showing that AMP value figure December 2023, the sort of especially normal cost of AMP could in a real sense generally go to $0.0040 toward the finish of December 2023, which basically for the most part is genuinely huge. It in every practical sense is figure that AMP will increment in esteem, which explicitly essentially shows that AMP value expectation rundown in a bullish situation. AMP could entirely outperform the $3.61 mark for 2050, exhibiting most certainly sort of likely vertical energy in an unobtrusive manner in an unpretentious way. As per essentially by and large unambiguous specialists and business experts, AMP can truly stir things up around town. The most exorbitant cost of $0.1355 till 2030, showing how there in a real sense for the most part is potential for AMP cost to encounter a critical flood, coming to concerning all plans and purposes high as $0.0608 toward the finish of 2030, which certainly truly is very huge. Extremely as opposed to